Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Guilty as Charged podcast. My name is Steven, and I am the host. And I have not watched The Last of Us episode 2 just quite yet, so no spoilers in chat. But I kind of know what happens. Obviously, I follow the video game, but excited to watch that after this show. But first and foremost, we got to get to our final 2025 mock draft. And joining me as always is my good friend Tyler. Tyler, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm excited, man. Last week, I felt maybe a bit of a burnout watching some prospects, but today I woke up like also that fire hit, that anxiety hit, kind of same thing that you feel before week one. Well, I'm feeling that now before the draft. And I was also thinking too, potentially depending on how things go, this might be the last time that you and I really dive into draft prospects. So I've done as much as I can. You've done as much as you can. We are ready. We're going to discuss a lot tonight. You and I have not done a mock draft in a minute, and we've watched a lot of players since, and there's a lot more info gathered since.
Yeah,
so this is going to be a very informative and hopefully fun mock draft.
Yeah, so we are going to do essentially two mock drafts today. The second one will probably zoom through a little bit faster just because we're going to talk about a lot of players tonight. Our first mock draft tonight, we are going to take our shot at predicting what the Chargers are going to do, which, of course, if we can successfully predict 2 or 3 of these picks, that's like honestly a win for predicting these kind of things. We're doing 7 rounds. It's so difficult to predict, let alone one pick in the first round, let alone the entire 7 rounds. So we're going to do a predictive mock draft. We're going to try, like we did our Harbaugh guy episode. We did the other guys episode, or Tyler did that on his own. So we feel like we have enough information at this point to take a chance at predicting some of the picks. And then we're just going to do a second one for fun and zoom through some guys that we like and maybe potentially be a bit more fun today. So a lot of stuff swirling around the internet these days about certain players going to certain teams. And there's nothing that comes out about the Chargers at this time of year. It's just what it is. But there's a lot of teams that do a lot of talking, and there's a lot of, connections to those. And there's a lot of like Broncos talk today, a lot of Jaguars talk today. So, you can kind of pick and choose what pieces of information that can kind of impact the Chargers. What the Broncos do at 20 is going to definitely impact what the Chargers do at pick 22 because they have a lot of similar needs. They like a lot of similar players, according to most of the guys. So I feel like we can take a pretty good chance at who the Chargers are going to be looking at this weekend. And like Tyler mentioned, a lot of anxiety hitting. We've watched a lot more players since the last time we did a mock draft. So we're here tonight. Tomorrow night, we'll be back with our big board episode. And then we are live all 3 days of the NFL draft, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday night, Alex Insdorf will be joining us after the Chargers make their selection. So he'll be wrapping up night 1 with us. And then both Alexes will be with us on Friday afternoon, evening, as well as Saturday morning in some kind of capacity. Each of those two have some writing responsibilities, so they'll hop off and hop back on. But we're going to be here all 3 days, and I cannot wait. And hopefully you guys are here as well, telling some friends to join us and spreading the good word that we will be here all 3 days.
Get your booty shorts and catheters ready, man. We're ready for the draft.
Yes, ready for the draft. And just a reminder to everybody, the draft is 3 days. It is not just Thursday. So if they don't take the player you want in the first round, it's okay. They might take, a player or two here on Friday evening or Saturday. So it is more than just one day. Just remember that before you freak out on Thursday. And I might freak out on Thursday as well, but we will get there together, and we will talk about the other 2 days together. And I'm sure it will all work out in the end.
Yeah, it'll be fun. No matter what, it's always fun. Even if you take Quentin Johnston in the first round and Steven reacts and, it's not great, it's still fun no matter what. And there's other days too. We got the Colson pick, the Vidal pick. Obviously, I like McConkey. So lots to do after round 1 and a lot of 6th-round picks.
Yeah, we started in 2020. Obviously, that was our first draft. I can't imagine what we all would have been like together. Like if we had taken the current version of ourselves back to 2019 and we're doing this podcast when they selected Jerry Tillery, I don't think that would have been a very fun podcast event. for everybody. Just knowing like our styles as evaluators, I cannot imagine that we would have liked Jerry Tillery very much. So yeah, that one definitely would have been a not super fun experience.
No, would have loved to be on for the Derwin James selection,
Yes.
but not the Jerry Tillery one.
The Derwin year would have been a ton of fun because he's a player that we all would have loved, and
Yeah.
we would have done the whole thing like, oh, there's no chance the Chargers get him at pick 17, and yeah, that one would have been fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get started here. Again, we're doing all 7 rounds for each mock draft, but we're going to do predictive mock draft first. So again, this is a prediction first, personal draft second.
Sounds good to me. Do we want to set up any draft moves right now, or do we want to wait till we get into a different round to adjust from there?
I think we're okay for the first round. I personally don't think the Chargers will trade up
At all, or in round one?
In round one.
Okay.
In round one. I think they are more likely to trade out of pick 22, like down, instead of trading up. But you know, we can have that conversation. Like we did a trade up mock draft for Colston Loveland a few weeks ago. That people can look at, but I think there's a better chance they trade down than up.
Yeah, I think so, especially if Loveland goes, which it sounds like it's going to happen. It never does in our mocks, but in the tea leaves, it seems like it is.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, 7 rounds, turbo speed, enter draft. Here we go. And what's gonna happen? Okay, looked like it was glitching for a second there. So gone, and people the Chargers would be interested in: Walter Nolan, Donovan Ezeraku, Mike Green.
Wow, Ezeraku at 14. Okay.
Shamar Stewart, Matthew Golden is gone, and Shadur Sanders to the Steelers right before the Chargers. I would love Sanders to go to the Steelers because that's just an empty extra, thing for the Chargers. Yeah. So available: Starks, Burden, Loveland, Egbuka, Kenneth Grant, Kelvin Banks, James Pierce, Hampton, etc. I'm of the if one of these guys is here, it's one of the Michigan guys. I'm indifferent to whether that's Loveland or Grant, but I think the smarter play, if he's here, is to take Loveland first. And if it's predictive, I think they would go that route.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Just out of curiosity, did Derek Harmon go, or is he still on the board?
I believe he's on the board. He's fallen a little bit for them. He's at 42.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like he's swung back the other direction. Not as far as he was, but yeah, definitely back in the other direction.
Yeah, so apparently there are some medical things with Derek Harmon. He did not miss any games this last year, and I think only missed 1 game in 2023. So again, that's just one of those things that we have no ability to know that kind of thing until this week. So Derek Harmon supposedly has the medical issues. Colston Loveland also, some teams are apparently concerned about his shoulder. I don't think the Chargers will be one of them. I guess we'll find out here. But in terms of predictions, we can have this kind of conversation, right, where we're trying to sort through the potential scenarios. As Charger 4521 points out, Colston Loveland, no matter what, is my ideal scenario. Colston Loveland, if he's there, I think he's a no-brainer. The stuff is all over the board. Like a lot of people say that teams are concerned about the shoulder and that he's going to fall. Daniel Jeremiah, Dane Brugler have continually disagreed with that sentiment that there's any chance that he falls. Alex Katzen was in our Discord saying that the Indianapolis Colts love Colston Loveland. The Broncos have had supposedly an affinity for Colston Loveland. I think the chances that he is actually on the board are not impossible. Like I'm never going to say impossible at this point, as we've learned throughout the Rashawn Slater, Derwin James, everything like that. But I do think it's trending towards Colston Loveland being gone before the Chargers are going to be here. So then the question is, who's next after that? And I think the two of us and Alex Katzen and some other people are kind of pointing to Kenneth Grant being the next guy after that.
Yeah, I completely agree there. I think Harmon, obviously the discussion before the quote unquote injury news, we don't know as much, or the issues there, medical issues, I should say. Yeah, there's a case there, but I think with Kenneth Grant, they're going to go with someone like at minimum, even without the Michigan connection, good player as is. Like this is a good player at a position of need. They have a clear path to him playing. Like he's going to start day one. There's no like how many snaps is he going to get over like Naquan Jones? Like no, Kenneth Grant is playing. Like that's a very easy one to me.
Yeah, he's your
So
he's probably your only 3-down lineman if you take him of your
yeah,
current group.
yeah. So performance, we'll see. Obviously, there's a curve a bit with interior defensive linemen, but he's going to play immediately. So that's an easy one. Yeah. I think it's between them. The reports on the character of all the Michigan guys, at least early on, like Loveland and Grant, are outstanding. And then you tie into the fact that it's the Michigan connection, Elston, Minter, like these guys. Like it's a little too easy, I think, to consider Grant here. I understand if you have both Loveland and Grant pretty similarly graded that you go with Grant due to the shoulder issue, whatever that could be. But Loveland, they did their insurance policy thing and they got Conklin. So if there's some lingering issue, and it genuinely does take Loveland a bit, maybe even into training camp, maybe the preseason to get back to 100%, they have their insurance policy. Yeah. So I think they absolutely can afford, even if Loveland isn't 100%, they need to get, I don't know, a couple preseason games. He can't play. I don't know. Again, this is all speculation. They've done the insurance. I think it's Loveland, and they'd feel good about that. And if not, it's Grant. I think it's a very easy one here.
Yeah, in this scenario, this is definitely an easy one. There's a lot of buzz that the Steelers, if they're not going with a quarterback, they could be looking at Kenneth Grant or Derek Harmon, some kind of defensive line piece. They are apparently trying to set themselves up for, post-retirement world for Cam Hayward and making sure they have kind of the pipeline ready to go, which if they take Kenneth Grant, man, and they have Kenneth Grant, Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward, and I know I'm leaving somebody out, but that defensive line is just disgustingly good. That just is not fair. So there's a chance that the Steelers go elsewhere. So hypothetically speaking here, if Colston Loveland and Kenneth Grant were off the board, and we're talking about Emeka Egbuka or Omarion Hampton, where would you kind of lean towards, that kind of debate with Loveland and Grant potentially off the board?
Really good question there between Egbuka and Hampton. Stylistically, it makes sense to go with Hampton. Obviously, I did that in our dueling mock. I don't remember if Egbuka was on the board at the time, but I went with Hampton. And I don't think Najee Harris's contract means that you don't go that route. Brett Coleman was talking today about Hampton going to like the Raiders potentially, not as like a legitimate, like that's where the discussion starts for him.
Wow.
So okay. Yeah, like Genty was gone to the Jaguars. So he mentioned Hampton like as an option. Not the craziest thing. So not like he's the 6th overall player, but like the Raiders, if they want that guy, everyone's trying to do the Jahmyr Gibbs thing post Bijan Robinson thing. Yeah. And yeah, like so he might go earlier. But if they're on the board, I think predictive, they would go with Hampton. I see no issue with that selection. Yeah, sure, I have favorites. But if you're down to, those options, I think it would be Hampton. I think Egbuka, though, is someone I genuinely would like to put money on Egbuka being there as an option for them. Not that it's the best odds, but it's a good way to make money, supposedly.
Sure.
Not a good way to make money, but that's a good bet that I would take.
Yeah.
Because apparently he's like with him, the Michigan guys, and then like Jahdae Barron, elite character stuff. Yeah. This is a guy who comes from Ohio State. Like they're just pumping out great receivers every year. LSU receivers, I think they have they're freaks. Like those guys that come out are just freaks. They're freak talents. But I would argue Ohio State puts out the most pro ready in terms of route running and release package.
Yeah.
And all that. And we've seen that year after year after year at this point. So I think that Egbuka, he's exactly the kind of receiver the Chargers, or at least Joe Ortiz and the Ravens, and now the Chargers would draft. I think he fits everything across the board for them. So sure, he's not a big boundary receiver. As Joe Ortiz said in his press conference, now granted, there's not a ton you can take from that. They don't just need a big body X vertical guy for the sake of that. Now, granted, technically they just did sign Mike Williams for that, but that's different than a 1st-round pick investment here.
Sure.
So Egbuka does make a ton of sense to me. I don't know if I have Egbuka or Hampton higher because I don't really love running. I always drop running backs a little bit, but
yeah.
I think the Chargers would go Hampton, but I wouldn't be surprised at Igbuka because he just checks every box.
Yeah, so I definitely have Hampton graded higher. I have a legit first round grade on Murray and Hampton, and I have Egbuka right there behind that. Stylistically, I think he is being pegged a certain way from analysts as well as from within the fan base that he's like a slot only player. But he's actually bigger than Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden is 5'11, 191 or 192, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Emeka Egbuka is a legit 6 feet and 203 pounds, I believe, at the combine. So Egbuka is actually bigger than Golden. And I think the slot experience in college was more so of like who he was playing with. Like, of course, he's not going to take X snaps when Marvin Harrison
Right.
Jr.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah Smith are
Yeah.
your X receivers. Like, that's just not like a smart way to run offense. So I would say that Emeka Egbuka is the receiver that Chargers fans should be advocating for. And
I agree.
like we've talked about Matthew Golden quite a lot. I don't love his tape. I don't think it backs up his athletic testing. His data profile is not that of a first round prospect. I understand why you would like him if you were picking in like the 30 to 40 range. But at pick 22, I think Egbuka is the receiver that Chargers fans should be wanting because he's just so much safer of an evaluation. Like we know he can run routes. We know he's fast enough to win vertically. He's 4.49, so he's not like blazing speed. But his 4.49 shows up on tape. Like he is that fast of a player. He's not the greatest yak player, but he makes tough catches. He's not afraid to do the dirty work. He's legitimately one of the best blockers, if not the best blocker of this wide receiver class. Like he wants to bring a physical nature to the position, and that just lines up with how Jim Harbaugh, I think, wants to evaluate his wide receivers. I mean, we look at the group last year; they were all having like blocking competitions essentially, and Ladd McConkey is a fantastic blocker as well. So stylistically, I think Egbuka plays very well with the Chargers. I think his athletic profile fits very well with the Chargers, and I think his character fits very well with the Chargers. By all accounts, he is a very high character guy. So, to me, in terms of a prediction, I would say Egbuka is like the worst case scenario for the Chargers. Like there is a chance that he could go earlier, right? But I would say like if we're sorting, the possible scenarios here, I think it's Loveland, I think it's Grant and Derek Harmon in that conversation. And then I would say Egbuka and Hampton are the next two guys after that.
Yeah. And that's a great problem to have because all those players rock and it just is up to them to figure out how to maximize each of those players and do their homework. But other than Harmon's quote unquote medicals, which again, we'll have to dig and find more info on that. Those guys are all awesome. Like I understand for several reasons why you take those players. I don't have to do a lot of imagining with those players. It's like, they're just good. And at that spot, that's all you can hope for. And so I would completely get it. And Egbuka, yes, like there's a chance McMillan is in this discussion if he's there. I don't buy that it will be, but Chargers fans are having that discussion. Daniel Jeremiah has had that discussion. Sure. But between him and Burden and Golden and Egbuka, if you're asking me like, okay, Herbert's under center, play action, drop back, is not looking at the, down the field, looks up, who's going to be open other than McConkey, who's going to be open between those four guys. I'm trusting Egbuka more often than those other guys on a down to down basis. And based on how they use McConkey, I understand like Greg Roman can use someone like an Egbuka. Like the downfield, like pure X boundary stuff, didn't love it. But how you use McConkey, I think was wonderful. And you can do that with Egbuka. Not as fast, not as much of a yak guy, but a very, very good player, a dependable player. And I think like that pairing with Herbert, again, with the high character stuff, just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think Egbuka essentially would take over Joshua Palmer's role where he's playing a lot of Z, can potentially play the slot sometimes, but it's a lot of vertical stuff. It's a lot of posts, corners, digs, in routes. And Egbuka can do all of that. So I think this is, to me, Egbuka should be like the worst case scenario for the Chargers. And I think that should be something that Chargers fans are very excited about. So there's a scenario here where you guys don't get the player that you love, which everybody loves Matthew Golden, which I frankly don't understand. Colston Loveland, I think universally is very, very well deserved that attention. And he's going to be who we take here in this simulation. Right. But if Emeka Egbuka is the selection at pick 22, I think we should all be like over the moon because that's a great pick for the Chargers. Helps them tremendously. And if you do take the receiver in first round, it just kind of opens things up on day 2 for you to go
Mhm.
everywhere else. But in this scenario, we are going to take Colston Loveland, and then we'll touch on some second round guys here next.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd be stoked with Colston Loveland as much as I want them to get a D tackle, and I'd love it. Herbert needs his tight end, and for more than 1 year. So I would be very, very happy with that.
Yeah.
So some players that have gone recently: Braden Swinson, Tyler Booker, Caleb Johnson, TJ Sanders, Thomas, Benjamin Morrison. So a couple other corners are gone there. JT Tuimoloau. Anyway, no, he is not going, so I have to figure out how to pronounce his name. Landon Jackson went, so available. Revel is there. Dylan Sampson, Henderson, Arroyo, Royals, Kyle Williams. Not a lot of D tackles sitting here.
Yeah, you
Darian
probably have
Porter,
to sort it. I think they've dropped some of the guys.
Yeah, unless I missed someone that went way earlier. Okay, yeah, they've dropped a couple of guys. So I think West is down a little bit, but Collins has moved down. I started watching Broughton, but I didn't have an opinion yet. Phillips, Caldwell. So it's a good group later based on the board, and like I would get Collins in round 2 right here. But if we're playing the board, running backs great, tight ends great, receivers great, but we just went weapon. But then there's no D tackles at this point, which is a little newer wrinkle for us in this one.
Yeah, I mean, if Savon Ravel is here at pick 55, I'm sprinting that card in personally. But maybe they're a little bit more concerned about his knee issue, and he shouldn't be here at pick 55. But if he is, that's where I'm going. I did share this in the Discord today, so if you're not in the Discord, it's a great thing to be in. Alex Katzen, myself, and Tyler all share information there repeatedly. The Chargers have done a ton of homework on the defensive line. We just talked about Kenneth Grant being an option at pick 22. Mike Elston, the defensive line coach, has been very, very involved in the evaluation process, and it makes sense, right? Like the Charger, like every position coach is very involved, right? But Mike Elston has a very strong reputation in that building. His voice has a very large sway, and he loves Alfred Collins from Texas. And it's a good thing because Alfred Collins is a very good prospect. I think having him ranked 74 overall is a little silly to me. But I did ask about like other day 2 defensive linemen that Mike Elston is high on. And the word is that Alfred Collins is one, Jordan Phillips from Maryland is another one, Ty Robinson from Nebraska is another one, and then Joshua Farmer from Florida State. Those are the 4 D tackles that Mike Elston is advocating for on day 2. If they want Alfred Collins, I think they probably have to take him at pick 55. He's not making it there. I think the other ones have a good chance of making it to pick 86. But you like Alfred Collins. I like Alfred Collins. Mike Elston likes Alfred Collins. If this is a predictive mock draft, and I know the PFF grade is not going to be great here, I think in this instance, the Chargers with a tight end in round 1, I think they would go defense in round 2, and I think that player would be Alfred Collins.
Yeah, I'm not loving the receivers at 55 as well. The running backs, I continue to watch running backs, and I think it's now my favorite draft class, even over D tackle. I can't find one I dislike, so I'd understand waiting. We just talked about Hampton as a possibility, so sure, Judkins, Henderson, all possibilities here. But yeah, I think you go defense. I think Alfred Collins. Look, I called him a Harbaugh guy, and it fits. Like we discussed him thoroughly. We've discussed him plenty of times. I think he 100% fits the character vibe, the need. One of the few guys, maybe like Farmer too, who are good, like I think multi-use players, not just like a run defender, not just a pass rusher. I think a good like balanced player. So if you want more of like a plug, you can find one later, of course. But Collins, if it's not Collins, I just think the general vibe of tight end then D tackle makes sense. And this is what the board is for us. So of this group, I think Collins is a slam dunk.
You could sell me on another offensive playmaker here because this defensive tackle class is that deep, and I do think these other players, they do have a good chance to be there later on. Like I do think Ty Robinson is being undervalued a little bit here with this board, even though like he used to be like a 7th round pick, but now he's probably a 3rd round pick. So I do think that Ty Robinson fits, but I just think they're looking for somebody who can kind of be more of a 3-down player versus Ty Robinson, who's like a pass rush specialist or that kind of vibe. So Alfred Collins to me makes a ton of sense. I think CJ West could be that guy, but he's not a player that I heard they love, which he doesn't physically like check their boxes. He's a little smaller than what they prefer, I would think. So you could sell me personally on taking like a running back or a receiver here. Yeah. But I think if we're doing a predictive mock draft, I think they go offense, then defense, whatever order. But I think since we went offense first, I think this is defense, and I think Alfred Collins is who they would most prefer here.
Yeah, obviously with Tate Ratledge here as well.
Miles Frazier went up, yay!
he's not in the fantasy.
He's not in the 300s.
Yay, 128, which is pretty solid. I think even could be a little higher, but 120 is much better for sure. He's awesome. Ratledge is freaking fantastic. I just am terrified of the injury history.
Yeah.
Daniel Popper took him in the 2nd round, so I get that. But Alfred Collins, I'm all for it. High character guy, good player, good film. So Collins it is. Yeah?
Yep.
Cool.
Cool with me. And I know a lot of Chargers fans will watch this and be like, what about a receiver? The good news is that this is a really solid group of receiver options in round 3, round 4. I think I feel pretty good about that. After round 4, definitely gets dicey.
Yes.
But currently in round 3, I think you could go receiver here. I think you could get offensive line here. What are your thoughts about how they might approach after going tight end, defensive tackle?
I think you go. I haven't done enough work on the corners in this particular spot. I think this is where you can start seeing a corner, but I haven't done enough work. Let me just pull up receiver interior. Like, I think it's offense. I think they go offense again. Based on who we've seen at this spot. If there's a faller, of course, that all changes. Like, Tate Ratledge freaking rocks in this range at 86. I think at that point, like 2nd round, a little concerned with the injury history. 3rd round, yeah, that's awesome. Kyle Williams, I think that's awesome for him here. Even Giddens, I'm going to skip that TCU receiver. So I honestly, like, this 1, 2, 3, 4 right here, it freaking rocks for me. If they're looking at these 4 picks in the 1st or in the 3rd round, Kyle Williams, Tate Ratledge, Damian Martinez, DJ Giddens. Bit of buzz about Damian Martinez. Not the greatest, like 100% character box checked there.
Sure.
I think also Kyle Williams as
That is
well.
correct.
So it's a little bit of a bummer there in that regard, but Ratledge makes sense. It fits their vibe. I do think like 3rd round is where you start looking at interior offensive linemen. Yeah, the receiver group at this point, it really is Kyle Williams. I like Torrey Horton, injury issue, Bonds issues.
Can you scroll down and keep it scrolling a little bit?
Yeah.
Man. Okay. Andrew Armstrong, I watched him over the weekend. I am a big fan of his. Not like you could talk me into taking him here, but 179 I think is far too low for Andrew Armstrong. I think he's definitely a end of round 3, top of round 4 kind of receiver for me. He has, to me, like he's got the size. He's 6'3", 210. Yeah. He runs fast enough. He's like a 4.51, I think, guy, if I remember correctly. And 1,000 yards in the SEC this past year with horrendous quarterback play. But I love, like, there again, we talked about this with Puna Ford, right? Like, Ladd McConkey has helped me really like hone in on some things that I need to be looking for from a wide receiver standpoint. And the way that Andrew Armstrong catches the football away from his body, the way that he comes back to the football, the way that he snaps his route off, I think Andrew Armstrong is a really, really good, again, end of round 3, top of round 4 wide receiver prospect. Same thing with him and Elijah Badger. Thomas Martinez pointing out that Badger has the back issue. So those are 2 guys I think I would prefer in round 4. But here in round 3, I don't love the way that the receiver board played. I've only watched 2 games from Torrey Horton from 2023.
Right.
So I don't have like a super great feel for him, but I know.
Well, if you want to see a shallow crosser target, by golly.
Yeah. Torrey Horton, like physically has like a lot of intriguing traits, but that
Mhm.
route tree at Colorado State, it's like 2 routes, man.
Yeah.
So he's definitely interesting, but I think I probably am staying away from wide receiver right now, especially if Kyle Williams does have the character stuff.
Yeah, that really puts a yuck in my yam for Kyle Williams to have those potential issues. So yeah, I don't love receiver here. I think that's just, how the board falls sometimes. We kind of got screwed there. So
Can you pull up just running back for me real quick?
yeah. So running back, Martinez, Giddens, Neal, Jarquez Hunter, Jadon Blue, etc.
Okay.
I've watched everybody here, and I would
Yeah.
go. I would go with Giddens if I had to pick a player. Although we liked Martinez stylistically,
Yeah.
TBD on the other stuff.
Yeah. Can you on the left scroll where RJ Harvey went? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. So RJ Harvey, watch it be like the Chiefs or something. Oh, the Panthers. Ugh.
Stop taking running backs we like.
Stop it. All right. Yeah, he went to the Panthers. So he's
Okay.
gone here.
Because Daniel Jeremiah just like kind of floated out there nonchalantly that he thinks the Chargers would like RJ Harvey. So potentially might be something to keep an eye on.
Really?
Yeah.
I would cry. I actually think I would cry if they
That's
drafted him.
your Colson for this year.
Yeah, no, I never cried on this stream before. I would RJ Harvey, guys.
Yeah, it's true. RJ Harvey is probably like one of your.
That's my guy.
That's like one of your guys of all guys.
Yeah, I'm going down with that ship, good or bad. That's my dude.
Ving13 wants to know which edges are left on the board currently.
Yeah, really good question. Let's go. I'll pull up D-line just in case it also lists them there. So DI and edge. So the UCLA edge is here. Ashton Gillott's more of a D end. Have not watched Jones. I really like Baron Sorrell. I know you haven't watched Tyler Beatty because it's BYU. So if I had to take someone, it'd be Sorrell. I think he's like a genuinely good player who actually plays
a lot of special teams experience too, for what it's worth.
I didn't even know that. So I like him even more now. So if I had to go with an edge rusher of this group, haven't watched the UCLA edge, so that's my bad if he's better. But I would have gone with Baron Sorrell there. Based on the board, you can probably maybe wait.
Oladejo's fun. Like he's being talked about now as like a round 2 player on like draft media, which I think is a little crazy. Looks like Kyle Kennard is off the board for DZ asking.
Yeah, and Stewart went to 79th for people asking.
So Oladejo, I think, is like he's a tough evaluation because he transitioned from off-ball linebacker to edge like during the season. And so there's just not a lot of technique there. Like he's definitely athletic enough to play on the edge. He's definitely got the size, but he is a tougher evaluation for me where you're really betting on the traits. But that's
gotcha.
Pick 75 or rank 75, pick 85 ADP that's a little tough for me, given just like how unexperienced and raw he is as an edge rusher.
Yeah.
So I would prefer Q Robinson as an edge rusher. I have not watched the other Texas one. I'll take your word for it there.
Yeah.
I think we can wait on edge at this point in time. So I do think at this point we are looking maybe running back, maybe guard. I do agree with you. I think it's probably offense, just not receiver.
Yeah. Based on this group, I would have liked it to be receiver, but it's not. So running back. I don't know. Is Ratledge the obvious one? It's a predictive one, right? So
it is a predictive one. I think with this board, I think Ratledge or Miles Frazier is definitely where I would lean.
I think Ratledge is a pretty clear tier above. Like I wish he were healthy. Like that's a pick at 55. Yeah. So I think here you can't really pass that up at this point.
Yeah. I frankly would be okay. I understand the medical concerns, but at pick 55, I would get it here. I do not think this is too early for Miles Frazier. I think he is the more likely player of the two to be on the board at pick 86 for what it's worth.
I'd agree. Yeah.
So I think this is Tate or Miles Frazier. I think we can wait on running back. I think we can wait on wide receiver as well.
Okay. I like Tate Ratledge here if you're cool with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Before I hit draft, do we want to do any move ups heading into round 4? Get another round 4 pick? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think we are going to see the Chargers be active, trading around with the 4th, 6th round picks.
Mhm.
I would love to see them get 2 4th rounders, like we just talked about, waiting on receiver, waiting on running back. If they have 2 4th rounders, they can knock both of those out there. So we can look at a potential trade there. Who did you have in mind, or do you have like late third, or what's kind of your thinking of trading up?
Yeah, I would get another 4th round pick. I think you could combine. Now it depends. Like you can move up from the 5th using those 6th rounders. I don't think 2 of them together equal any 4th round pick, but I think that like you want to move up from the 5th round using one of those, one of the higher ones, that'd be fine.
Yeah. So the trade chart has like the end of the 4th round being worth like 40 or less points, and then the round 6 picks that the Chargers have, their first one is worth 18 points. Second one is worth 11, 7, and then 5. So you're probably looking at your top 2 6th round picks, or you could do your 5th round pick is worth 28. So you could lose your 5th and a 6th to move up to 4 or something like that.
Yeah, we can do either one. So I'm game for the first 2 and the 6th to move up. So that's about let's just say call it 40 even or 30 even, excuse me. That's
you can look at pick the Dolphins at 135. They don't have a ton of picks, so you could do that one, I think, pretty easily.
Yeah.
So do 135 for 181 and 199.
Yeah, I think it would have to be that. And that's even then, that's not 100% perfect fit. That's 20. No, it's exactly 30. That's exactly 30. So the Dolphins would technically be losing there. Worst case scenario, you could get like an early 5th if you wanted that too.
Sure.
Which is Daniel's suggesting as well here. So if we want to be fair on the pure like numbers version of it, you get a 5th round pick with those 2 6th.
Yeah, we could do 5th round. We could do 5th round pick. That's fine with me too.
Okay. Do you care like who it is? Like I can just make the math. Like basically it's 152, 153 are worth about 30 points.
You could do Arizona. I feel like Arizona is good. So then the Chargers would have 152 and 158.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So give me a second to run through that. Arizona Cardinals. What is so 150? Wait, I don't want them. I just want the Cardinals, but I want 152.
Yeah. So they don't have any other pick after that. So that works out for them.
Yeah. That actually is not a bad one for them either. Okay. So we're giving up 158, 181.
I just had it up.
Sorry. No, 181, 199.
So 181 is worth 19.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. 181,
199 is worth 11.
Yeah, it's about 30 for 30. So that works for me. I'll force the trade anyway because I am simulator god. So let's see, force trade. Thanks, Cardinals. So for some reason, we keep picking the Cardinals. Okay. So now we have this 3rd round pick, the 4th round pick, 2 5ths now,
and 2
6th, and a 7th. It's like that feels like exactly what they would do. Something like that feels good to me.
Yeah.
So okay, we're going with Ratledge here, right?
Correct.
Okay, so Ratledge goes here.
And I know some people will be like, "Oh, that's not a huge difference," but it matters, especially when you have, those 6th round picks. It gets dicey back there. Wow, Stephen Jones still on the board at 104. Interesting.
I wish I watched him so I had some sort of comparison to Sorrell here. Okay, so just to recap where we're at: Colston Loveland in round 1, Alfred Collins round 2, Tate Ratledge round 3. This is a Harbaugh draft through and through right now, by the way. So like this feels pretty predictive.
Trenches and a tight end, baby. Yeah, let's go.
From Michigan. Yeah, so that's right up there for me. I would love.
I think we probably got to go receiver or running back here. Or maybe an edge, I guess.
Yeah, receiver could work. Running back could work. Is Armstrong available? No, he's moved up for them now on that board. Oh, wait, no, he's still down here. Never mind. Yeah. Edge, I don't mind. It would have definitely been Sorrell here. I do think at this point we do need a receiver. And I think like both Bryant and Armstrong. Frankly, maybe even Badger at this point, although I do like both more.
Wow, base shell tune's falling way down for them.
Dang, maybe you should not fumble. Sorry. Bad.
That's kind of an important thing for running backs.
Yes, that's why Jade on Blues 1 every 30 snaps is not great. So
do you like Brashard Smith from SMU? Have you watched him?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Kind of like your Tyrone Tracy. Have you watched him?
Yeah, I have.
Okay,
very similar to Tyrone Tracy. Yep.
Yeah, not as physical, but the same conversion. Very, very fast, like 4.39 player. I think he ran more zone at SMU, but like I thought he could work in either. Sure. Not a physical guy, but yeah, I think so if I just looked at running backs here, it would be Brashard Smith as my favorite overall. Monongai was pretty fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Mullings obviously would fit. You like Jordan James quite a bit.
Yeah.
So if you want juice to this group, it's Brashard Smith, and he doesn't fumble. So like to me, especially on the consensus board, Blue is like right around here, and Brashard Smith's like 50 to 60 spots back. I'd much rather take Smith later, and I would take him right here over Blue. Brashard Smith is like a pure, that's the thing. Like Keenan Allen Jr., he's a good receiver. Like that's unquestioned, good receiver, good pass protector. But I don't know about as a runner. You get a great receiver who also can run a 4.39 and it's I think it's a pretty good fit.
Yeah, of the running backs here, I would prefer Smith. I would have ETN ahead of Jade on Blue also for what it's worth.
Okay.
ETN's not as good of a receiver, but I think he gives you, he's more of like a 4.45 guy as opposed to a 4.3 guy like Brashard Smith. So
yeah,
I'm okay with Smith. I question if like predictively if that's where they would go, or in this case, would they wait? Would they take a receiver here?
Yeah.
The fourth round for me is kind of tricky because the first 3 rounds, like I think it's some combination of a weapon, a defensive lineman, and the third one is either a guard or receiver. Like I think that's kind of up in the air, but I still don't love the receiver board here. Like that's what I keep coming back to. But in the next round, it seems like you could get some good guys here. So I think receiver wise, I would lean towards Armstrong, just because I think he is a bit safer than what you could get with Elijah Badger. So I'd be okay with Armstrong here. I do think he's being very undervalued.
Yep.
Has the size, can play the X for you. I think he can play the Z as well.
Yep.
I'm okay with Armstrong here. I think I would prefer him over Brashard Smith, but I'm cool either way. Sorrell is still on the board if you want to take him. Also, I didn't know that. I thought he was off.
He rocks. I think of so if it's between Sorrell, who is it, Smith and Armstrong, I would take the edge rusher here. But I also realize that we probably should add a receiver to this room. Can't go full commit to the bit. Or running back for what it's worth. I like Armstrong quite a bit. I know there's a lot of love for Thornton Jr. because I think the highlights are sick.
Yeah.
But he's very limited. When it comes to receivers, every year there's so many of these guys. Ton of the RAS is great. Wow, they're fast. Wow, they can run that post. Maybe even have good hands. But you have to do so much more than that, I think. And Armstrong is way more complete. I understand the Thornton Jr. over Badger argument, especially with the back issue. Like, okay, I could get that. But Armstrong is, like you said, I think he's genuinely being slept on. I believe, maybe it was just Badger, but I believe bootleg guys had Harmon on to discuss receivers that are underrated. I think Armstrong was one of them. But Armstrong, like the more people watch him, the more he's moving up. Like this is a guy, I'm very curious where he was when I originally watched him. So Armstrong was...
he was in like the 7th round down for a long time.
Okay, so when I first watched him, and I have a late 3rd, early 4th, I think like you were discussing, he was 387th.
Yeah, he was like way down there at one point.
Yeah, and his film, and the numbers are good too. I only watched him because the numbers were good. That's the other thing. The numbers have for him, I think, versus man specifically, are very good. If I had to take a receiver, it would be him. If I'm playing this board, I'm going Smith, then Armstrong. But Well, technically I go Sorrel, I suppose. But
Yeah.
good for either on this one. Like the board says Smith and Armstrong.
Armstrong is 25 though, as Thomas Martinez points out.
That's fine. You know, we were all 25. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a good year. It's a good year. He can rent a car. Now he can rent a car. You know, it's all good.
Devon Bailey just turned 27. I don't think Broncos fans are.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's super old.
He was that old. Jeez,
he did a two-year church mission and then played 6 years of college.
Okay, goodness gracious, that's an impressive one.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of people pointing out in the chat. There's a lot of love for Edge in the chat. You know, the board probably does say Edge.
I love that the chat is suggesting Edge. By the way, like that is really great. Like, good for you. I'm proud of you all.
Yeah. Edge is tricky for me because like they do need an edge rusher. Do they need it more than receiver? I think is probably a no. But I think they can probably, in this simulation, I think we will probably double dip at receiver to try and like make up the difference here. So man,
I think that you are more likely to see Sorrell play earlier on or Smith play earlier on than Armstrong, though. Is the only thing. Like, Armstrong's not starting over Quentin Johnson right away. I know people want that to happen, but it doesn't happen, guys. Yeah.
So let's do. I really like Brashard Smith in this offense.
Let's do Smith, man. No, okay, Smith is awesome.
All right, let's do Brashard Smith.
Yeah. The combo of Najee Harris, the typical runner, the not every down, but like the 20 carries runner, and then Smith with 4.39 and as a receiver, it's like, that's great. Vidal RB3 or RB2, I guess. Like I would have a lot of fun with that. All right, and we're back at 152. Yeah.
And Brashard Smith can do some receiver stuff for you because I mean he
literally was a receiver. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Time's up. We lost the pick. I know. Okay. Sorry, we pulled a Minnesota. My bad.
Yeah. That was a long conversation for a 4th round pick.
Brashard Smith, yeah.
Fun player though, man. Like really,
really is
player.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely that's gasoline to this offense. Okay, we'll go a little faster here.
Okay, let's pull up the same two boards. I think receiver edge. I think at this point.
Yeah. So receiver edge. I'll pull up D tackle just in case there's an overlap.
And Ty Robinson's still on the board.
Yeah, I think he's a ton of fun. So of this group, Pat Bryant.
Pat Bryant has really fallen in this. That's kind of crazy.
It is based off of. I like the way they used him. Obviously, that Rutgers game was pretty great.
Yep.
And so if that were every game like this, he should go much better. So it's a bit of a projection there. Right. I think he has, like, of the games I watched, 3 of the 5 of them were like the walk-off touchdown for them. So they trust him quite a bit. So did Armstrong go? Oh, here he is. Never mind.
Yeah.
So of that group, I would go, unless you want a particular flavor of receiver, I like Pat Bryant more. Actually, do I like Armstrong? Let me see.
Did you watch Tay Felton from Maryland?
I started to watch him and I got bored. He's bad. I was just like, whatever. Like I just didn't care anymore.
It's funny because he wears the same number, but his number 1 athletic comp is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. So that's
actually I can buy that.
Yeah, I mean he's like exclusively like your speed threat, but as TD points out, he has a very high drop rate. He's not super physical. Like he is Marquez Valdez-Scantling, which they were interested in. They hosted him on a visit, and he reportedly almost considered signing. So they knew need speed. I don't know if that's somebody they would be really interested in.
Yeah. Mild Maryland connection, but wrong side of the football. Anyway,
sure.
So if I'm going receiver, gun to my head, had to pick a receiver. It's Armstrong or Bryant, and then Thornton.
Yeah, I just question Pat Bryant's ability to like truly separate at the next level, and like you're in the 5th round here, so I would take Armstrong, but I would take Armstrong or Badger. I have both of them graded higher than Pat Bryant, actually.
Okay, cool. Then let's go with Armstrong. I'm stoked with that. I watched him. He was 387, so I felt I was in this weird no man's land of like anyone.
Yeah.
But again, it's been a very weird draft process. So okay, I like Armstrong here, and we pick in 4 picks or 6 picks anyway.
Yeah.
We're back.
We're back. So at this point, I think we can look edge or corner.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Like we
Corner, edge. All right. So this is the opportunity for Steven to tell me who these guys are. I do know Zoff Frazier. It looks like Slender Man when they have the black with the white helmets.
I was
very
not a fan.
He's definitely not a player that you and I would have usually liked. I understand at a certain point for the potential upside or special teams, but I was not a huge fan. And I don't know any of these edge rushers right here. So
you watched Colin Oliver though.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. I saw you tweeted about him.
I did tweet about him. I didn't slap an opinion on that one. Look, he's a guy who out of nowhere will flash the most beautiful bend and rip that you could possibly see. But he's a lot of his role was like kind of like an Ivan Pace, and then he did edge rusher sometimes, and that was really cool.
Okay.
But it's a lot of just like attack the line, which at this point could be fun. I don't recall what his RAS was, but like he's kind of like a linebacker for them too.
Yeah.
He's not a pure edge rusher at all.
Okay.
He wasn't, at least.
Gotcha.
So sure, there's my contribution to the edge rusher discussion.
Yeah, this edge rusher room dried up in a hurry, unfortunately for us. Can you scroll down a bit?
Yes. Edge feels like the one group where they can go post-draft signing.
Yeah. They could take a flyer on some other guy as well.
Mm-hmm.
I like Fatal Diggs. That's probably who I would go here. He's, again, more of a speed to power guy. He's more of a bend guy. He has played special teams. I think corner here is also a little tricky. I mean, we're in the 5th round. Of course, it's tricky, but
sure.
I did watch Jalen Smith from USC the other day. He is a ton of fun as a slot corner. I don't think he can play outside at all, but he stylistically, I think, fits their kind of corner and our kind of corner. He had the 2nd most run stops in the class. Like, he will absolutely play the run. Blitzes well, can play the run. I think he, as a slot corner, would be a good choice here if you think that they do need like a slot guy. But there's some good safeties on here as well that, we've talked about RJ Mickens a couple of times. Daniel Jeremiah loves Craig Woodson from Cal. Like, that's another guy. Edge is getting really slender though. So I think we can go with Diggs in his speed profile. I think he was a high 4-star recruit, had to transfer to Syracuse. So Fatal Diggs, I think, is where I would go.
Cool. All right. Diggs it is. And we have 3 picks left. So aren't you all glad we got rid of the 2?
Somebody said Suni Lee's ex-boyfriend. Who's Suni Lee's ex-boyfriend?
Sure, I have no idea. Robert says, Kyle Williams was the pick. We're picking football players, not altar boys. Yeah, that's not how the Chargers operate. Sorry. And Michigan guys are all, or at least the early guys have been very high character guys. I mean, Joe Alt, Lad McConkey, Junior Colson, like look at the Cam Hart, like look at these guys. They are taking very high character guys. Yeah.
So if you want to pull corner and safety back up.
Oops.
You watched the Texas Tech offensive line the other day, right?
Oh yeah, Rogers, is he over here?
Yeah, he's listed as a tackle though.
Oh, okay. Thorne has him as a guard. I think that's perfectly fine. I hated it because I watched not one play. I got to a play. I'm like, wow, watch him block that player off the screen. That's amazing. The next 3 plays were terrible.
Oh, shoot.
After I tweeted it, I was like, frick, oops. Numbers aren't great. He's never been able to settle into one spot. Like, yes, he's listed as a tackle. And that could be intriguing to them if they want, like, Ratledge is not playing tackle, but he's played left tackle, right tackle. Like, it was kind of like, not like Zion's start, but I think he started like left, then right, then left, then like right guard, left guard. So there hasn't been a time for him to settle down and just be an offensive lineman at one spot. So I think his film is pretty solid. Like at this range, it's awesome for him, I think. But so yeah, if you're looking for someone like Kendall's not playing tackle, Mage is not playing tackle. Haven't watched Jackson Slater. So if you want someone who can also like be a versatile piece and maybe be your Jamari Salyer replacement, That's
Caleb Rogers probably.
Yeah, I think Rogers can like play tackle more than Jamari can play tackle.
Sure.
But
yeah, we probably got to go DB here.
Sounds good to me. All right. Tell me who it is.
Can you scroll a little bit?
Yeah.
So Corey Black from Oklahoma State up a little bit. I did watch him. Shout out to Thomas Martinez as always. I asked him for day 3 corners he liked, and Corey Black is another one that he brought up. The Chargers were very present at the Big 12 Pro Day. This is a guy who ran 4.35 and jumped 38 inches, I want to say. Very athletic profile, very much a work in progress kind of cornerback. But he has the length, the speed, the size to play outside. And unlike Zoff Frazier, he will actually tackle. So I think if you want to take an outside corner, you're looking at Corey Black, who can be your probably Dean Leonard replacement.
Yeah.
Or if you want a slot corner, you're probably looking at Jalen Smith or Jalen Smith from USC. I do also think Dan Jackson from Georgia, right there. He can be kind of a slot corner safety hybrid type of DB. He played a lot of overhang nickel for Georgia. He played deep for Georgia. So that's kind of the 3 guys that I'm looking at here. I think it just kind of depends where we want to go. I mean, I think like at outside corner, I do think they're not set, right? But like you have Dante Jackson, you have Cam Hart as pure outside corners. Benjamin St. Juste as a pure outside corner. Dean Leonard, they moved him around a little bit, experimented him with safety a little bit last year. In the slot, they only have, so you obviously have Derwin who's going to play a lot on the slot. But after that, like there's potentially a chance that Jasir Taylor is your next slot corner.
Right.
Which I don't love at this point in time. I would really like to get some kind of slot option in there.
I agree.
So I think it just kind of depends if you want somebody who can be a little bit more versatile, like a Dan Jackson, or if you want like a true like slot corner, and that's Jalen Smith. So I would lean somebody in the slot here.
I agree.
And so I think Dan Jackson, I think, is a better like football player, and I think he can play safety. He can play in the slot.
Gotcha.
So that Dan Jackson is probably my choice here, and I realize we have a lot of Georgia guys talking about today. But I would go Dan Jackson here in the 6th round. I think this is fine value for him.
Cool. And guess what? We pick right now.
Okay.
So thanks for doing that. We're back.
We're back. Okay, we're 6th round. Can you show up the year picks for our audio audience? We have Colston Loveland in round 1, Alfred Collins in round 2, Tate Ratledge round 3, Brashard Smith, the running back from SMU, round 4, Andrew Armstrong in round 5, and then Dan Jackson was the recent pick as well.
Okie dokie. So how are we feeling about special teams? I'm guessing Dan Jackson.
Oh, I forgot Fado Diggs. My bad. Audio audience. Fado Diggs, 5th round pick. Dan Jackson, 6th round pick.
Yeah. We've at least covered most of the positions at this point. So what are we missing? I guess center, linebacker.
Although Tate Ratledge can play center.
Right. Yeah, I don't worry about that.
I think we probably could see them double dip at receiver or defensive line. Badger's still on the board.
I would honestly take Badger. Like that's a pretty. I know it's a bit of a 2 day 3 double dip at receiver, but A, they did it last year, and B, like he will definitely play special teams.
Yeah, Ricky White also will play special teams, and he has like legit returner ability.
Gotcha.
So if you want that kind of special teams, Ricky White is an option there. Can you scroll down a little bit? Actually, I'm just curious. See who else is there.
Yeah, sure. I just have receiver here up here. Do you want other players? Oh, just kidding. I don't. Is Jay Tuia on the board? He might be.
He might be. He usually is. Nice job on the name, by the way.
I know. Hey, man. I'm a learner, if nothing else. Yeah, he's here.
That's crazy to me, man. I understand he's like a true nose and he's not like super athletic, but
he rocks.
Dude, if this team had Jay Tuia and Alfred Collins, that would be so sick. I would be so happy with that.
Yeah.
So I'm a-okay with that. We could do double dip at receiver in the next round.
Yeah, sure. For vibes, Tuia is absolutely a ton of fun. Obviously, very, very local. I'm going to guess and hope that he's moved on from the elevator yelling incident from like 2021.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be fine there.
The Chargers do like to take local guys. Like it is a thing. So
yeah, he's so much fun. Okay. So at this point, you did consider receiver. We've lost Badger. There goes
looks
that.
like Ricky White as well.
There goes Ricky White. So I'm down to players I have not watched and Corey Brooks.
Sorry, can you go back and scroll down a little bit more?
Yeah.
Looks like you're on the general board.
Oh, you just want a receiver?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Pure boundary guy.
Is that the last of the receivers? They don't have any more receivers on here?
That is it. That is just what they have right here. So it's something, all right. Brooks, I think, is better than a 7th, like a 335th overall. I think he's much better than that. I'm actually surprised he's here.
Is he
X
guy? X receiver.
I don't remember him being super fast.
Okay, I feel like we're covered with X with Armstrong.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the Pittsburgh guy. I know a lot of people have liked him. Bolt Costa pointing out that Konata Mumfield. Mumfield is a possession receiver with good hands, pretty good route runner.
Isn't Trayshawn Holden pretty fast?
Trayshawn Holden will block his ass off. I know that. He's an awesome blocker. So if they want like a special teams guy, he's probably that. I don't know how fast he is though.
4.58 unofficial on here. Not the worst, but
so receiver wise, I would probably say Holden. Just special teams pick probably is where I would go there. Center wise, we've done the Drew Kendall thing before. I tried so hard to figure out where they sent their offensive line coach. I'm totally blanking on his name right now, Mike Devlin. The only pro days I got for Devlin were UCLA and Boston College. So him and Namara Bowman went to UCLA. Apparently, I don't know if UCLA even has an offensive lineman, but the two of them went together for whatever reason. I think the Drew Kendall thing is legit, man, and I think him as a potential center of the future makes a lot of sense. My question right now is like, would they prefer more of like a developmental tackle instead? Would they prefer, a true center like Drew Kendall? But I know they are interested in Drew Kendall. I know they think of him pretty highly, and they sent the offensive line coach out there.
Yeah.
So I know they like Kendall. I just question with Ratledge, how redundant is that?
Yeah. Yeah, especially because if, let's say, Ratledge is really good, then he beats Zion, but Zion's also playing some center. But I guess at this point, it is a future pick. It is not necessarily a 2025 pick. Boston College did run like the highest rate of like gap run blocking, I believe.
Yep.
So I think that makes a ton of sense there as well. Yeah. Okay. I can get behind Drew Kendall here.
All right. Let's do it.
All right.
And we will continue to neglect receiver today.
Yeehaw.
That was our last pick.
That was our last pick. Yeah, the receiver board just kind of sucked. So with Colson Loveland, Alfred Collins, Tate Ratledge, Brashard Smith, Andrew Armstrong, trade up, Fadil Diggs, Dan Jackson, Jay Toia, and Drew Kendall. I am worried about receiver, but I do very much so like the overall draft. And I am curious how much receiver becomes a priority when you go with Loveland in the first round. So it's like, okay, so you're throwing to McConkey and you're throwing to Loveland as like their first two. I don't know where the 3B or 3A receiver, depending how they feel about Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
Where does he, file in there?
Yeah, I think in general, I think fans kind of will misunderstand what this receiver room actually needs to look like. This receiver room, like if you have Ladd and Colston, like you're looking for complementary pieces after that. And I know that's not how people want the room to be constructed, but with Mike Williams, Andrew Armstrong, Quentin Johnston, and I think, obviously in this instance, Darius Davis is making the roster. But I think the receiver room is relatively set. Like, I'm not saying that it's like a great room, but like in terms of the roster, I think it's probably set in that regard. So I'm a fan of that draft, but I definitely would be concerned about receiver. At that point, you're probably looking at some other kind of receiver free agent addition after the draft.
Yeah, and we'll say it again. TD brings up a good point. Like, don't be surprised if the Chargers are higher than Quentin Johnston than fans are, which is probably impossible to not be higher than Quentin Johnston than the fans are, because I think 80% of fans think Quentin Johnston should just be cut outright. But what's all? Oh, Riley?
Yeah, shout out to Riley. He's been with the show from the jump. He was actually the person who came up with the name for the show. And he says that he's proud of us. The progression in our analysis since the 2020 draft is amazing. Y'all are terrific, and I love being along for the ride. Yeah, our analysis in 2020 was not very good.
But YouTube wasn't good enough for all you?
Yeah, we were just doing YouTube highlights essentially. But yeah, I feel like I've learned a ton about football in general since doing the podcast, which has been a fun aspect of this. But we appreciate Riley for being here from the jump, and definitely appreciate the kind words there.
You ready for a personal mock now that we're 76 or 66 minutes in?
Yeah, we'll zoom through this one a little bit more. But yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Do we want to do a commercial break?
Oh, yes. Bad hosting on my part. I have to tell you guys about our friends over at Prize Picks, the best and easiest way to consume daily fantasy sports. As you know, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs in full swing. Prize Picks has you covered with a great plethora of opportunities for you to support your wallet and support the Guilty as Charged podcast. So if you go to prizepicks.com/guilty, code guilty, use the code there and the link in our description. It does genuinely help support our show, and you guys can have some fun winning some money as well. NFL draft specials are coming if they're not there already. So please go check it out. Again, that is prizepicks.com/guilty, code guilty at checkout.
All righty. You ready for a personal mock, everybody?
Yeah, this is just gonna be vibes. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, vibes. One for them, one for us. This is our let's do this. All right,
we can keep the 4-6 rounders just to like.
Yeah, what the heck, right? Quadruple dip at receiver. Let's do it. All right.
Yeah.
Start the draft. Here we go. Who's available? Walter Nolan, Colson Loveland, Donovan Izaraku, Hampton. Well, a lot of course, Kenneth Grant goes to the Steelers, which is very possible.
Luka went to the Broncos. Okay.
Broncos.
A little bit of a different flavor.
Yeah. Other than the fact that it's, I think for you and I, it is Loveland. Yeah.
Well, let's mix it up and go Hampton here in the personal mock.
Okay. All right. Sure. All right. We're gonna do no repeats the rest of the way?
Let's do our best to not do repeats.
All right. Omarion Hampton it is. Commit to the bit. Truther can't tell me nothing. I committed to a running back in round 1. Let's do it. And frankly, I would get it. He's awesome.
Yeah.
At this point, Maxwell Harrison as a press corner could be interesting. JT Tuimalau, Henderson, although we just took a running back. We can take Royals and pretend that we can actually draft receivers and we like them. I think Trey Harris's data profile is now like up there for me as well. I'm pretty much like, I think he's still like 6th in success versus man and press.
Yep.
For Harmon. So like I would get that one. So if it's for me, it's Trey Harris for sure. If we're not going running back, which we're not, I'll have to recall who's around here. Collins, we didn't, we done already. Got like Ferguson. It's probably too late. Roberts, Wilson.
Ferguson is in such a tough spot because it's like 55 is probably too early, but 86 is too late. Like I wish they were picking in like the 70s. Dude, let's just take Trey Harris, man. Like let's get the weapons out of the board early, and I do think 55 is appropriate for Trey Harris. We know Kyle Williams has the character stuff, unfortunately. I like Jalen Royals at 55, but I understand people don't love him here. So I think Trey Harris, let's do it.
Yeah, RAS, the film, reception, perception, all line up to a good player here. Yay. All right, I will shut up and I'll let you pick somebody here.
All right, we got to do defensive tackle here for sure.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, we can check out edge just in case.
Sure.
Jabari Caldwell's absolute freak show. Kennard Roberts. Roberts is a terrible edge rusher, but I think he'll be an interesting interior guy.
When did you watch him recently?
Yeah, and that's like it's fine. Like he is projected, I think, to be more of an interior guy.
He's more of like a 3-4 DN type instead of an edge.
Yeah. The stand up, no, thank you. I've not watched Oladejo, so I couldn't tell you exactly there. But
Yeah,
Kennard.
If we're going edge, Kennard would be my pick here.
Yeah, Kennard rocks.
I'll have to go back and see if I can watch Sorrell, but not opposed there.
Is he even on here? Oh, there he is. Yeah, that's fine with me. Kennard would be my best available with sight unseen on Oladejo. Perfect edge rusher here.
Oh, okay, all right.
What?
I was going to suggest you go with Ty Robinson, but
I thought we decided on Kennard.
That's okay. I like Kennard. It's all right, so I'm cool with it.
You seem so definitive. I'm not even looking at you right now. I'm looking at the board because I have the other tab open. So I couldn't even. I'm just whatever.
No, I like Kennard a lot, and
right,
I do. I would have probably gone with a.
But you can still get Ty Robinson right here.
Ty Robinson, let's go 4th round. Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we have gassed up the offense. Jesse Minter doesn't want to. Yeah, pass rush is there. Yeah. Have not gone interior or any offensive line for that matter.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't have a tight end right now. If you're thinking that direction, if I'm in this, what is the tight end room right here? Gadsden, Fedone. No, Gadsden is here. Lachey.
I don't love Gadsden, but in the 5th round, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Let me check.
You didn't like Fedone because I didn't love him either.
I didn't either because admittedly that's one of those. Wow, look at the RAS. Let's watch the player. I did not think the 98th percentile matched up there at all. Didn't love him. He turns like the Titanic. Miles Frazier, we did not take.
Obviously, I do like Kandra from Cincinnati, who's earlier.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Not as much as Frazier, but I like him.
Sure. Okay, so interior offensive line, or the other thing that we said earlier that I've already forgotten. What did we say earlier? Did we have a? Oh, I was talking about tight end.
I was gonna say we haven't done running back, but I forgot we did on Warren Hampton.
We've definitely done running back.
You can look at corners if you want to look at corners.
Sure, I can tell you again about Zaw Frazier. I hear Corey Black's an outside guy. Just kidding.
Okay, let's do just for being the sake of different, let's do Kandra from Cincinnati.
All right, I like it. I want to say that was one of Thorne's my guys on day 3. Yep. Yeah, okay. All right, I buy it. I love it. Great. Oh yeah, it's this weird gap between. Yeah, we don't have 2/5 now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've gone running back, receiver, edge, D tackle, guard.
So this is probably where we need a tight end if we can get one.
Yes. Oh yeah,
same board, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's basically the same board.
Gadsden is a-okay with me at this point. I don't love him, but at this point, yeah, in the 6th round, that's cool with me.
Yeah, I think so. I think Lachey is more complete, but Gadsden, I think he's pretty solid here.
Yeah.
All right, Gadsden, back again. Here we go.
This is probably a corner pick.
Corner sounds good. Let me tell you about Zaw Frazier.
Corey Black, let's do it.
Corey Black. Because we took the other Georgia guy, right?
Yeah.
All right, Corey Black. Perfect. I'll have to watch him. Okie dokie, artichoke.
Do you want to double dip at receiver?
Yeah, we could.
Defensive line. We don't really have like a run. We don't have like a nose tackle. I can tell you about other nose tackles not named Joe Toia if you want.
Yeah, we can talk about Stackhouse is down here. Biggers is down here.
Junior Tafuna, my guy.
Yeah.
Thor Griffith is still on here.
Oh, is he? Did I miss him? Oh, yeah, there.
If you're looking for nose, I would say you're probably doing Biggers if we're not doing Toia.
Yeah. Yeah, if we're not doing Toia, then I think we'd go Biggers here. Let me just check the rest of the board real quick.
Desmond Watson. I don't think they're taking Desmond Watson, respectfully.
Yeah, sure. Screw it. Let's do it. Who'd we say? Biggers?
Biggers, yeah.
All right. Zeke Biggers.
A great name alone, and the fact that he
fantastic
is
interior
the
name.
fact that he's a defensive lineman is awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay.
We have two more picks.
2 more picks. We've gone running back, receiver, edge, D tackle, guard, tight end, corner, another D tackle. I kind of vibe with this actually. I kind of like this block. Yeah, especially because we didn't pick any repeats. Does Kendra have any center flex?
I think he probably could, but he started his career out as a tackle, if I'm not mistaken, and then played guard.
Okay.
So he's probably just a guard, but I
Mm-hmm.
think they would figure something out if they wanted to.
Yeah, 2 picks
You could go
left.
second receiver.
Yeah, receiver could be fun. I mean, I guess Badger at this point. Jimmy Horn Jr. is not Jimmy Horn. Never mind, wrong person. LeJonte Wester is fun, but he's a little tiny slot corner.
Yeah,
or receiver. Sorry.
Yeah, we could do Ricky White here. Future returner potential. Vertical threat.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Confirming with you now before I hit. Okay. Click.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. 1 pick to go in this thing that technically doesn't matter. We did Kendall, Kiner. Oh, Montreal Johnson's down here. I actually really like Montreal Johnson as a receiving off, but like you have Hampton, Najee.
Yeah.
I don't remember how much returning Montreal Johnson has done.
Plus, we just did Ricky White.
Yeah.
You could take Jalen Walker for the linebacker from Indiana, future special teams linebacker.
All right, linebacker from Indiana. Let's close it out with Jalen Walker. Yes?
Yep.
Great. All right. In this completely, I love how we do a mock that we might like better in 9 minutes.
We're trying to predict. Makes it.
Yes, of course. This is just vibes.
D+ for Hampton. Let's go.
At 22, give me a break. Yeah, D+ for Hampton. Fantastic. Trey Harris, Kyle Kennard, Ty Robinson, Luke Kanja, Aronde Gadsden, Corey Black, Zeke Biggers, Ricky White, Jalen Walker. We got the exact same grade. The bottom 20% of Chargers drafts. Immaculate. I wouldn't want it any other way.
No notes.
Yeah.
Bolt Casa, I will try my best to watch Konata Mumfield before the drafts just for you.
Gosh. Sure.
I don't know if I can watch another day 3 receiver though. That's painful.
Yeah. You got to watch 12 to get an Andrew Armstrong.
Yeah. We still do have 10 super chats. We'll zoom through them as much as we can.
All right.
Dark Samus, okay with Booker or Jackson in the second round?
100%. Yeah.
Sure. Second round is okay with me.
That's fine. No problem there.
Another one, Omar Norman Lott is a pass rush specialist, just like Chris Jones. Chris Jones not bad on run defense, but that's just me. Nothing wrong with just being a specialist if you are great at it. Omar Norman Lott is definitely a pass rush specialist who I'm interested in, but he didn't test very well, which I think is
it's really weird
given his profile.
Yeah, I thought he was going to honestly test like who's a Florida State tackle or D tackle from last year?
Fisk?
Yeah, like I thought he was going to kind of move like Fisk. He's pretty quick on film. Tested terribly though.
Yeah, I agree there. Dark Samus says another one. Chris Jones' run defense is not his strength. It's okay. I think you're drastically underselling Chris Jones.
It's not his strength, I guess. You're not wrong in that respect.
Sure. Just a little nervous about Derek Harmon not being a great run stuffer like Kenneth Grant.
I feel like I'm the only person who likes Kenneth Grant as a pass rusher option more than run defender, which seems very backwards for his size profile. But I think when I see him bend and flatten on a stunt, it's like, oh my god,
it's pretty.
How do you do that? So
yeah, he's a freak. Like there are several reps of him winning as a stand-up rusher, which is insane given that he is 330 pounds. I think he's miscast as like a gap eater as opposed to like I think his strength is shooting gaps. Like I think he's more
that's a good
aggressive
way to put it.
Defensive tackle, but I think he can improve as a 2-gapper where he will take on double teams. But I very much like his film where he is getting upfield, and I think that's what you want out of him, which is again that's not usually what you think of as a 330-pound guy. But
nope.
Derek Harmon, I do think is a much better run defender than what you are giving him credit for as well here.
Yeah.
But, we've made our feelings there as much as we can. Sean, miss you guys, love you. Thank you, love you as well. He came back with another one. Says, how realistic is catching a game with y'all? I can only make one home game as I'm flying from the East Coast.
How realistic? I mean, the realistic part is up to you. I'm a season ticket holder, so I will be at most of the games. I'll be at the Raiders one for sure. I'm no matter what, I'm at the Raiders one every year. So you can join me and the 7 fans. You cowards leaving me. This little 5'9" Chinese guy walking around. You're leaving me there all by myself.
Yeah, I have not decided which game or games I'm going to. I try and go to at least 2 a year. I mean, it just depends, sorting things out there. But if we go to the same game that you're at, we are definitely A-okay with you messaging us and meeting up at the game for sure.
Yeah.
CJH says, Elijah Ponder, late round UDFA, please. I don't know who that is, so I'll take your word for it.
Love it. I don't know who that is either, but cool.
Dre says, watching Chargers all 22, definitely think Zion in the RB room was by far the worst part of the team, but adding a great tight end receiver DL could be more useful.
I don't think Zion was even the second worst interior offensive lineman on the team last year, but no. I agree that the interior, like Zion, because they've upgraded from Pipkins to Becton and TBD on center, so sure, like what's left is Zion. I guess that makes sense, but running back room was by far the worst part.
When JK was out, yes.
Oh yeah,
JK was out, yes, for sure.
Yeah, that was bad.
The first 4 games when they were trying to figure out like who was the lead back also was not pretty. Gus Edwards tape back then was not fun. What's a realistic scenario? This is from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. What's a realistic scenario in your opinion for the most disappointing pick in the Chargers for round 1?
Shamar Stewart. Now I get,
in terms of a realistic round 1 pick, any of the offensive linemen for me, which is crazy because I'm the offensive line guy, but
yeah,
I would understand Donovan Jackson. Like I would get that one, but I just think there's better value at other places than the offensive line round 1.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, even Brandon Thorne's like my favorite round 2 option is Booker, like in general. That's how he views Booker, and I think that's his, if you don't count Campbell, his interior one.
Yeah.
So what else at this point? I don't know, like Burden. He's not like bad on film, but there's some stuff.
There's also character stuff there.
Yeah. What else? Like oh, I'm sorry. How is this not even mentioned? Come on, Steven. Mason Taylor.
I just don't buy that he's like a realistic round 1 option. Like I
out of 22.
I just refuse to believe that his profile screams round 1 player. Like Sam Laporta went in the 2nd round, and Sam Laporta was a significantly better prospect from every kind of aspect that you could dream of. So yeah, I just, in this class where there's, even without like top tier quarterbacks, like there's going to be 4 or 5 receivers that will go, maybe not 5, but there will be at least 3 or 4 receivers that will go. There's going to be 6, 7 offensive linemen. There's going to be 6, 7 edge rushers. There's going to be 4 or 5 defensive tackles, potentially a linebacker, at least 2 running backs. I just don't buy that Mason Taylor goes round 1. Like I know I'm pegged as an anti-Mason Taylor guy, but even the most optimistic Mason Taylor evaluation to me is like top of round 2. Just given with like where the other positions are in this class, like I struggle to actually see that he's a realistic option at pick 22.
Yeah. Golden, I would get where do I have, and you're gonna hate me for this, Jaden Higgins.
I wouldn't buy him as a round 1 option either, and I like Higgins more than you do, but
for sure
I don't think he's a round 1 player.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think like last year was an anomaly. I don't know. Yeah, those are some names.
Opposite end of the coin here from Cody Spencer. What realistic player would you do a handstand for? And who are you afraid of us drafting? So we kind of covered that. Handstand player for me, Colston Loveland. I cannot do a handstand, but I will do a pass set for you guys for Colston Loveland.
Yeah, sure. I would do that for Loveland. in general, like my guys that I've mentioned,
Yeah.
if they draft RJ Harvey, like that would be amazing. Trey Harris, I believe in quite a bit. And all the my guys, a lot of the Harbaugh guys that we've discussed. I think so. You'll find out, I guess, if there's a pick, I will. Hey, you will see it. But what's the opposite? Who are you afraid of drafting? Yeah, we kind of mentioned that. Just like significant injury history guys too early.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to. Yeah, that sounds about good to me.
Yeah. Last one here from Gary. Take a flyer on Jake Majors, smart athlete. We talked about Jake Majors on our last show. I think his film is fantastic. I'm a huge fan. I don't think he's like a super clean fit for the Chargers, but I would totally get it, man. I think he's a fantastic center player, for any team.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Hour 25 for you guys. 2 different mock drafts. Let us know in the comments on social media which of those 2 was your favorite. Obviously, the first one predictive, second one for fun. So tomorrow we'll be back with our big board episode, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday draft coverage. Can't wait for that. Tyler, any final thoughts before we head out?
Nope. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and then definitely on Thursday.
All right, you guys. Appreciate you so much for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Guilty as Charged podcast. We'll see you next time. As always, bolt up.